Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Extreme Accelerated. We're going to be talking about rebranding copy tonight, and we're going to continue the series. And when we left off, we were talking about rebranding. So what I want to do is I just want to recap, what we're talking about when we mean rebranding, or what are we trying to do with the branding process. And then I want to talk about what you're going to do in particular with your PLR copy, right? With your PLR copy. If you have any questions while we go, please feel free to write it there in the box. Hello, Dana. And then we will just kind of go through this. So again, feel free to stop me if you have any questions. All right. All right. So let's talk about rebranding copy. Rebranding copy. So what's rebranding? Rebranding is remaking the assets with your USP. And once again, your USP is that one thing that you're doing in your business that is going to be unique and that other people can't easily copy, and the reason why people buy from you, right? The reason why people buy your service, reason why people buy your product. And it's especially important in information marketing where, you can get any information any place. You can go to YouTube to get it. You can go to Kindle to get it. You can go to a blog and get it. The question is going to be always, what is it about the way you deliver it, about the way you do what you do that makes people have to come back to you to get it? And then you may not have this yet, right? Developing a USP takes time. So if you feel like, well, I don't really have a USP, I don't really even know what it is yet, I'm not really sure how to really define myself versus everybody else, that would be okay. It really does take time because when you're really doing it right, you might even be developing or redeveloping products and services in a different way, right? You might be redesigning what it is you offer based on what the market is, based on what people want. And so if you don't feel like you are unique in the marketplace yet, that's okay. That's something that you will want to deliver, but you do want to have an awareness of it so that when you see the opening in the marketplace where you can get in there, where other people can't get, where you can actually offer something that people are not offering, or where you can do something that other people can't do consistently, then you can then start to look at that becoming your own USP, right? The USP is something you have to try to drive home with everything. And that's whether that's with your business cards, that's with your website, that's with your emails, that's with your, with the stories you tell, that's with your Facebook, that's with your Twitter, everything that you do. When you figure out what the USP is, everything has to drive this home. And that's why we're really going to even talk about copy tonight, because it's not enough just to have sales copy. Because look, if you have a 10% conversion rate, that means then that 9 other people are not going to buy that particular product or service. What about those 9 people who come to read your sales copy? What do you want to do with them? One thing you want to do is you want to reinforce what it is that you do uniquely, what it is they can come back and get to you. So even if they do not buy, even if a sales letter or a sales copy does not convert an individual, you have still reinforced your USP with them, and so you want to have that in there. If sales copy is uncovering the value, when it comes to an information product, part of that value has to be the way you deliver it. And again, this is just reinforcing this idea that you bring something unique to everything. So when you start talking about getting a PLR video, you start talking about getting a PLR, let's say a PLR ebook or a PLR audio package, what is it that you can offer that when I get done either listening to it or watching it or reading it, that makes me think of you, or makes me think of the way you deliver it, or makes me think of the way you do business, that I've got to come back and for you to get more. Is everybody with me on that? So if you kind of get this idea of rebranding, because we've been talking about this over the last couple of sessions, if you get that, please put the number 1 in the question box. If you're, let's say you're getting it. And that's really where we want to have the mindset about rebranding. We want to have the right perspective about rebranding, especially as we start talking about what you're going to do with your copy. How many of you have, let's say, sales copy that you got with hey, maybe you got PLR videos, or maybe you got a PLR ebook. And how many of you have said, well, what am I supposed to do with this, right? And that would just make you like everybody else. So if you have gotten that and you felt like, well, I don't really know what else I should change, what I should add to it, what I should take out of it. And typically, when we teach this, when we start talking about rebranding, we start talking about changing words and talking about changing, let's say, particulars about what it is you're offering. And I think all that's good and all that's necessary, but that's not really going to help us, number one, make the sale, number two, build our brand. And so, again, the brand is going to be, what are you repeating over time? What are you saying over and over and over again? If you think about what a brand really is, a brand is something that gets burned into your brain. Well, how do you burn something into somebody's brain when it comes to information? You repeat it over and over and over again. When companies spend billions on, let's say, an advertising campaign, they don't expect that you're going to see a Lexus and it's going to automatically make you go out and get one. What they expect is that if they play that commercial 10,000 times, you see it 10,000 times, you get ready to go get a car, someplace in your brain you're going to be thinking, you know what, maybe the Lexus is something I want. You don't even know why that is, right? It's repetition, right? Rebranding is repetition. You burn it into people's brain by repeating it. And that's why I'm saying to you, you really got to have it in everything you do, right? You've got to try to repeat your USP in everything. Okay, so now let's talk about rebranding copy. What do we add to the copy? So you have this PLR sales page. You have this sales copy. Maybe you have a Word document. Maybe you have an HTML file. So don't worry so much about the coding, because that's not the issue. The issue is you can get someone else to do the coding, right? You can outsource the coding for little or nothing. So don't worry so much about making it look like something. What you and I have to do is try to figure out what needs to go in that copy, number one, that's going to help me to make the sale. Number two, even if I don't make the sale, it reinforces something that I'm trying to get across to my customers. If they're one of the 9%, let's say they're the 90% that don't buy, what have I said to them that makes them want to come back? So you want to add to those things that make people want to buy. You want to add things that are going to be unique to you and your offers, right? So what's in copy? And this is something that, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on. It's something you already know, right? We already know what a headline is, right? Your headline is going to be the first thing people see. It's going to be the thing that grabs their attention. It's going to be the things that makes people stop in their track and start thinking about what it is you're saying. Empathy, right? There's typically a paragraph about empathy where you're going to relate to the person, where you're going to tell them you understand them, where you're going to tell them you get them, and you're going to make it tangible, right? Empathy. Then you have bullets, right? Benefit bullets, where we're talking about things like how a product is going to benefit them. So in other words, it's not so much about the features of a product, it's about how it benefits them. In other words, what is my life going to look like? Right? So we're spelling those things out in the bullets. We're not talking about that the engine, right, is a 2.2 liter Hemi engine, right? That goes in there. What we're really talking about is what we're going to look like to our friends, right? What are people going to think when we drive up, in the, with that engine and it's humming? So again, we're talking about features. I mean, we're talking about benefits, not features. And then we're talking about testimonials, right? Right? In other words, we need to have social proof. In other words, other people have said they've had the experience with us. And so you can have the very same experience. And then we also have proof. Right? So what do we mean by proof and social proof? Proof is scientific evidence that what you're talking about, the category of what you're talking about, works. So in other words, you have a survey of people, right, who have things like you. They demonstrate to you that, let's say your product is on Facebook ads, you have some kind of statistic that says that Facebook ads generate, 80% of the revenue for an information product, whatever the case is, right? You're talking about scientific, right, quantifiable, researchable evidence. You need to have that in your copy, and you should have that in anything else that you do. So in other words, if your sales copy that you buy, it doesn't have that, typically it's going to have that, even if it's got PLR in it, it's going to have something like that. But if it doesn't, you want to add it, right? You want to have some proof in there. You want to have some social proof in there. Social proof is the same thing as testimonials. You want to have an offer. So in other words, it's not just a sales button, but it's an offer. So it's not just that they're going to get the product. What else comes with the product, right? So we're going to be talking about having some bonuses in there. We're going to make sure that this is something that they know is not only for a limited time, but that this is something special. The offer, when you make an offer to someone, you're not just selling them. What you're really trying to do is you're saying, hey, you know what? I'll tell you what. Why don't you get this now, and here's what I'll do for you. It's like a conversation. An offer is a conversation with your customer, saying to them, it's almost like you drawing close to them, drawing them in, talking in a really hushed tone and saying, okay, look, I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do for you. That's the offer. We're talking about a guarantee, right? What your guarantee should have something in it. So in other words, let's say I don't like it. Let's say that I don't really like what I have. What is it? What is you're going to do if I don't like it? And then some kind of scarcity. All those are going to be part of your sales copy. Now again, that's copywriting in about 10 minutes. Right? Now, obviously, you know, some people spend their whole life teaching copy and writing copy, and that's just an overview of copy, but that's basically what should be in your sales letter. And if those things are not in there, you have to get them in there, right? So let's say that the copy you buy, you go through this list and you don't see any proof in there, then you need to go find some statistics. You need to go find some scientific proof. If you don't have some testimonials in there, go get some testimonials about you, right? Now, let's say you get PLR. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get testimonials about the person who wrote the PLR, but you can get some testimonials about what the experience is like buying from you, right? What is it like dealing with you, right? You should be collecting testimonials all of the time. Now, so now when we start talking about rebranding, what can I change with this, right? So I've got this PLR sales letter. What can I change? What should I be changing? What should I be looking to change? What should I be looking to add to it? What should I be looking to take away? What elements can I or should I be changing in the copy, right? So now, what makes copy usable, right? So let's start talking about how do I change the empathy. So in other words, if I'm going to empathize with someone, I'm going to do it according to my USP. If I am going to say that I understand what it's like to to not get traffic, but I'm going to understand that how, right? I'm going to understand that from the perspective of what I do uniquely. So I don't want to just say that I understand, let's say that, you're not getting the social media traffic that you need. Let's say we're talking about Facebook traffic. And if I'm not a Facebook ads expert, I don't really want to even get your mind going into Facebook ads. What am I going to add to the copy? I'm going to add something in there about how organic traffic really converts, right? I'm going to empathize with people about what it's like not to get that organic traffic. If I'm not going to be selling Facebook ads, I don't want to talk about that, even if it's effective. When I empathize with somebody, I'm going to empathize with them based on my USP. It has to be in the copy because, again, remember, if somebody doesn't buy from you, that's fine, right? 9 out of 10 people aren't going to buy from you, but it's okay at that if they go away knowing what your USP is. So when you empathize in the copy, when you are understanding who they are. In other words, the empathy part of the sales letter is where you are going into great detail, spelling out to the individual, saying, you know what, I understand you. I get you. But that has to be done from a perspective. It has to be done from the perspective of your USP. You can make your copy usable in terms of proof. What is the scientific reason for them needing what you are offering? Right now, again, that's what proof does. But again, we come back to the USP. What is the scientific reason that you do things the way you do them? Right? So let's say that, you don't use Facebook ads. You only use organic traffic. You don't rely on Facebook ads, or you don't rely on Facebook at all. Right? What is the reason for that? What is it that makes the way you do things necessary? Why is it that people need to consider the way you're doing it? You should have some science on it. You should have some verifiable, something quantifiable that you can say. And again, all this does when you bring that third-party information in, all it really says is, hey, I've got credibility. I'm not just winging this, right? There's a reason for this. There's necessity in it. And I do this because there's good, solid evidence as to why I do it the way I do it. Proof is necessary when you add to the copy. Now, again, I know that this sounds like, well, man, I bought the PLR so that I wouldn't have to do all this stuff. And that's understandable. But if you really want to make a sales letter effective, right? If you really want to make it, you tailor that sales letter to you. You tailor it to your business. Now, again, all those other elements that I just talked about previously, the headline, social proof, all that stuff needs to be in there, right? So if you don't have that stuff in there, then you've got to make sure that gets in there. But then once you have all those elements, then it's time to start working with stuff so that it becomes about you and your business. Now, social proof. Let's talk about testimonials. Always be gathering testimonials about you and the way you do things, right? Right now, if you're not gathering testimonials, start doing that, right? And again, this is a discipline, and it's not something that I'd say falls to the top of people's list. Typically, I mean, what comes to the top is making sales, and I understand that. But this is going to help you long term if you do it consistently, right? When you understand that people, excuse me, people are going to buy sometimes just based on the fact that they see other people have bought, you don't know the impact of one testimonial, right? So try your best to get disciplined about collecting testimonials and then make them about you. They don't have to be about the product. Sometimes people are going to give you a testimonial about how awesome you are. But again, it can't just be how awesome you are. It has to be how awesome you are at delivering your USP. Now, again, if you're gonna pull a quote out of a testimonial, pull the quote out of the testimonial about how you deliver your USP. Right? Social proof is something that you can change. Sometimes it is about the guarantee, right? Sometimes it's about the guarantee. Sometimes it's the way that you deliver your guarantee. When you start talking about rebranding the sales copy, and you're going to offer some kind of guarantee that other people don't have. Maybe you don't want to offer a money-back guarantee. Maybe you found something cooler to offer. Maybe you've got something that really does matter to people. Sometimes, when it comes to information products, right, and somebody's really dissatisfied, sometimes what your promise to them is going to be something even better, right, than getting their, their 7, 17, or 27 bucks back. Now, here's where you're going to make the most impact, right? Usually it's the bonuses, right? Bonuses should be added to the copy. Now, you're not always going to get them when you get a PLR sales letter. This is your responsibility. You need to add bonuses, and not just because people like bonuses. This really does add substance to the offer. It's really part of the offer, right? So in other words, you and I have to figure out what really matters to people, and we have to be, I'd say, you want to err to the side of being generous, err to the side of being liberal with your bonuses. When I say liberal, I mean small L. I mean be willing to overflow with the bonus and make it relevant. Now, let's get into this a little bit more. So where can you get them? So number one, I suggest now you should be building an inventory of PLR, right? Always be building an inventory of PLR and use it, right? Use it as a bonus. When you buy a PLR, you should know where everything is. You should have it, I'd say you should have it cataloged, or you should have it in a site so you can know what it is at a glance. You want to know your inventory. And so you want to use this PLR for your bonuses. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you about that. Be careful about using the images or graphics that everybody else is using. Now, if it's a bonus that, let's say, not everybody else tends to give away, if you're doing a bonus that not everybody else tends to have, then yeah, I would say for the sake of time, you might want to go ahead and use the graphics that those bonuses come with. But often, if you're going to get something, let's say that other people are using, go one step further and at least change the graphics. You don't want to have something out there that when somebody comes to your page and they see something that somebody else has, it's the exact same thing, it can be a turnoff. And again, understand something. I understand that time's of the essence, and not everybody has time to redo graphics. Even if you know what you're doing, even if you have staff, you can't necessarily take all your graphics when you do an affiliate promotion and do the bonuses, right? I know that. But, right, whenever you can, I'm saying that whenever you can, try to leave time that if you're going to add a bonus to your PLR, make sure that you change the image. You know, one easy thing to do, right? If you understand how to create graphics, you understand how to copy graphics, just change the graphic to the existing, the existing theme of what you're offering. So if you have, if everything in the product you're offering, the information your product you're offering is dark blue, and it's got a blue, let's say, e-cover, then just change the bonus to that e-cover, right? That's easy. Now, you might have to do a little extra work, but what that does is that really does change the nature and the perception of what people are seeing. Now, this is huge, right? When you start talking about bonuses, bonuses are supposed to increase the value of what people are purchasing, whether or not they're buying your product or buying an affiliate product. So be willing to pay for it, pay up for it. So in other words, don't try to look for the cheapest possible way to buy something that you can actually use as a bonus. If you're going to get something unique, you're going to get something that's good that people are going to value, be willing to pay for it. Be willing to grab something. When you see something and you know that not too many people are gonna have it, and you're going to be able to add it to your product, buy it, be willing to pay up for it. So one of the real keys of being successful and using bonuses on your products. Now, again, I'm not talking about an affiliate promotion right now, but even though these this applies to that, when you have something that's unique and valuable, you will then increase the value, not just in people's mind, but substantively. Look, when it comes to bonuses, don't try to fool anybody. What I'm saying to you is that when you add a bonus to something, it should substantively change the value, right? So whether or not somebody's buying an affiliate product through your link, or you're talking about your own product, when you add a bonus, it should substantively change the value. Be willing to pay for a PLR membership. Now, again, this is apart from what you're buying. In some cases, when you buy into a PLR membership, you're probably not going to be able to get all the rights that you want, right? So in some cases, what you're doing with this content, maybe you're not paying as much for this one. You're going to be basically using these bonuses in such a way that you're just keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. So in other words, typically, if you're going to be competing with somebody, you're going to be competing with somebody on an affiliate promotion, you're probably going to be talking about they're going to set down 10 of them. They're going to go and get them from a PLR membership. And so sometimes what you have to do, you will probably have to have the 10 most obvious things on your sales page, not because you don't want to be unique, but just because you want to make sure that you're keeping up. Right? And that's typically what you're going to be doing with a PLR membership, especially where you're going to be taking some of those things and adding them to your bonuses, or adding them to a bonus landing page, or adding them to the sales page. Is everybody with me on that? So if you get what I'm saying, please put the number 2 in the question box. Right? If you get where I'm coming from when it comes to bonuses, right? This is how you substantively add to a product. You should be thinking that when you walk away from your sales letter, when you add something to a PLR sales, it should not be the same as somebody who came to a sales letter that looks just about the same. If you do nothing else, let's say that all you do, right? Let's say you don't change the graphics. Let's say you don't change the copy. You don't change the writing. Let's say you don't do what I ask you to do and put your USP in there. But you have some absolutely stunning and killer bonuses in there that are unique and that substantively raise the value, then I'm probably going to buy from you sometimes just to get your bonus in addition to the product, right? How many of you have at times when it comes to information products? I know I have personally. How many of you have at some time you have purchased an information product just because of the bonus that the person offers, either on their sales page or as part of their affiliate promotion? I do that all the time. And so other people are going to do that too, because it works. And it only works, though, if you go and find something unique. It only works, though, if you find something that's worth my time. Right? So if you just go get something that everybody else has, it looks like everything else somebody has, it's not going to be worth my time. I might as well buy it from somebody else. But if you've got something that, man, you may not have all 10 of the things that the other people have, but you've got this one thing, man, that I looked at your page, I said, you know what, that's what I want. I'll get it just for that. Right now, This is really important, this part of it. Be willing with every PLR package you get, and you should have your eye on what the components are. Always have your eye on what the components of any PLR package that you buy. When you get something, especially if you're going to be using it as a bonus, you can use specific assets when you're gonna place a bonus. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that all you're going to take out of a particular PLR package is going to be the lead magnet page. That's all you want to use. And so what you're going to do is you're going to add that to a particular product because it fits, right? So it's not just that you put the entire product on the sales page as a bonus, right? That doesn't always work. It's not necessarily all that effective all the time. What people sometimes process in their brain is that you have made it relevant. And if you can take out, sometimes it is more relevant for you to, if you're going to use a PLR package as a bonus, it's better to go inside of that package, take one element out of it, and add it to the product that you're trying to bonus up. Does that make sense? So if you get that, please put the number 3 in the question box. If you understand what I mean by that. Take one component out of a PLR product, take one component and add it, as opposed to just slapping it up there, right? That's not always going to work. It's not always going to be effective. And if you really want to stand out, you really want people to remember you, sometimes you just take one component. Now, be willing to create something yourself, right? Be willing to create something yourself. And this can be difficult if you've already gone through the process of creating something for a product launch. You created the product and you think to yourself, well, man, now you know, Charles is saying I have to create a bonus too. Let me tell you how to do this. First, you should be doing some kind of training on a regular basis, right? So if you're training in your niche, if you're training on a regular basis, you are going to have materials that you're going to be able to take from your training, and you're going to be able to add to some of your information products. So once again, the training aspect of your business strikes again. If you are doing a regular training on a regular basis, when it comes time to add a bonus, you are not going to struggle. You're going to have one. And so you should always have something to offer. And again, I'm going to suggest that if you're not training on a weekly basis, start doing it. You might say, now, nobody's coming. I don't even know who to invite. Start training anyway, because when somebody comes by and they notice you have a training archive, they'll say, oh, well, this person's pretty serious. I'm going to start going because I notice they keep doing it and they do it week after week. Now, again, you can do it at whatever frequency that you like. You don't have to do it at the frequency that I say, but even though I suggest you do it weekly, right? There's something in our society, in the fabric of the way we view things. That's why television shows are weekly. That's why, you have the pick of the week. We still operate in, when it comes to information, when it comes to media, when it comes to entertainment, we operate on a weekly mindset. And so if you offer something, you're going to do something, you're going to podcast, you're going to train, try to do it on a regular basis, try to do it weekly. If you're doing interviews, right, if you're doing interviews of any kind, if you're doing a podcast, if you are doing a blog, if you're doing something like that, you are probably going to have bonuses to offer. Again, this is the case for doing a podcast. This is the case for doing some interviews. This is the case for getting other people involved in what you're doing, because as an information marketer, you need to have bonuses, and these bonuses are going to be unique. Now, in other words, you don't have to go trying to hunt down, let's say, a Facebook bonus if you had a conversation with somebody about how to do Facebook ads and you recorded that conversation. All you're going to do is you're going to bundle it up. You might do a transcript. You go to Timmy.com. You have a transcript made. You bundle it up, and you give that away as a bonus, right, for buying either your product or buying a product through your affiliate link. Now, we're talking specifically about rebranding PLR to add your own bonus right now. But again, this also applies to the fact if you're also doing this to market an affiliate product. So we're talking about, what do you do with the copywriting that you get in your PLR package? Well, you rebrand it. How do you rebrand it? Well, you reemphasize your USP, and you basically are very you're very generous with your bonuses, right? Even if you have to go out and buy them, right, and you can reuse them, be generous and be consistent, right? Always, if you're gonna launch on a regular basis, try to add something that will surprise people. Try to add something that will make people smile or delight them. Try to make people think to say, wow, right? Oh, wow, well, this is cool, right? That is really the effect of a bonus. It's not that it's going to change the nature of the product. You're not trying to do that. You want the product to stand on its own, but you want people to get to the download page. You want people to get to the members area. You want people to get the first email and say, oh, wow, I got this is okay, wow, this is cool. Let's get into rebranding graphics. Let's start talking about rebranding the graphics that you get with your PLR. And if I were to ask you a question, and I'd like for you to just participate with me a little bit. If I were to ask you who are the primary readers, right? If you had to guess, and let's try to break this down between male and female. If you had to answer the question of which way does written content skew, would you think that it would skew toward female readers or male readers, right? Which would you think? Yeah, and it primarily skews female. Written content primarily skews female, right? But what about video content, right? If I were to ask you, does video content skew male or female, right? Which would you think if I were to ask you that question? Okay, so yeah, everybody says male for the most part, right? And there's an article there that you can check out. It's from a site, and you can check them out on a number of sites, but I found an article that you can read that I listed here about YouTube statistics, and this is this is in general. Of course, it depends on the subject matter, but YouTube skews male, right, to about the tune of 63 to 38%, right? So video watchers tend to skew male, right? Stuart says, yeah, unless it's something like fashion. I guess it depends on what kind of fashion, but yeah, everything depends on the subject matter. But in general, video viewing tends to skew male. What about audio content, right? What about audio content? If I were to ask you, does audio content skew male or female, right? Which would you say? What would you say? Does it skew male or female, right? And so I've got some mixed responses. Some say male, some say female. Yeah, and Dana's probably closest to the truth. It does skew male, but only slightly so. Whereas video tends to skew male, 62-38. Podcasting tends to skew male, 56-44, and even then, that tends to be tends to be males with higher income, right? Just so you'll know. So if you're trying to reach people using podcasting, it's probably slightly male, but the cutoff here is probably going to be people's incomes tend to be higher when they listen to podcasts. So there's just some interesting things to start thinking about. Okay, so why do I say that? Why do I even bring that into the forefront? We're talking about rebranding graphics. If you haven't read, it's been a book that we have been discussing called Building Your Story Brand. If you haven't read it, I really highly suggest that you read it. The gentleman's name is Donald Miller, and his mantra throughout that book is to clarify your message so that customers will listen. Clarify it. So in other words, be specific, say one thing, and then make sure that it is abundantly clear. Don't leave any, he uses the word, don't make your viewer or your listener burn mental calories trying to understand what your brand is. If you have something, if you can say it with tangible words, if you can say it with word pictures, try to say it that way. But regardless, what we're trying to do within branding, whether it's graphics or even with our words, we want to clarify our message. We want it to be abundantly clear as to what it is we offer. Now, why do we do that? We talked a little bit about that last time, because your message ought to reinforce your USP, right? Your USP is what? It is your unique selling proposition. Everyone who markets information, right? We're basically selling a PDF. We're basically selling digital video. We're basically selling digital audio. But is that what we're selling, right? No, it's more than that. Is it the fact that we're selling a course that people can get anywhere? Well, no, it's got to be more than that too, because I can get that from any place. In fact, I can go and get a free tutorials on YouTube. Is it the fact that I'm getting cutting edge information? Well, I can get that cutting information sometimes for free. The question is going to be whether or not I come back to you a second time. And if I'm going to come back to you, it's probably going to be because you offer me something that I want that I cannot get anyplace else. And that is what your USP is. What is your unique selling proposition, right? What is it that makes you, what is it that I have to come to you to get that I can't get from any place else? And you have to, in your branding, right? Here's what branding is. It is making sure that I know that if I don't know anything else, right? If I don't remember anything else about you, about your products, about your service, that you have reinforced the fact that I can only get this thing or this set of things or this way of doing things from you. So again, so your message ought to reinforce your USP. Your graphics don't have to be fancy. Right? And even within the make money online niche, even within our business opportunity niche, your graphics don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be gaudy. They need to be professional. They don't need to distract from anything, but they do need to reinforce the message. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you a couple of things here where it's going to be clear to you that it's really going to be about what you reinforce. Now, again, anybody can sell something one time. Right, and you might have experienced that. Maybe you might get an affiliate sale. Maybe you might sell a digital product. Anybody can do that one time, but can you do it over and over again? Can you do it week after week? Can you do it month after month? And if you're going to be able to do it week after week, month after month, and you don't want to try to be, let's say, a guru or a cult of personality, then it's really going to be about your brand. It's really going to be about you reinforcing something in everything you do, including the graphics, that says something about you that I can't get anyplace else. Let's talk about the landing page and your graphics. And we're going to take a look at this here in a minute, but let's kind of dive in to what we mean by reinforcing the graphics in terms of your landing page. Whatever's on that landing page, whether it's your WordPress site, whether it is a landing page that you bought and you put together with a squeeze page, it needs to reinforce your brand and your USP, and you can do that, right? That's not going to be too hard to do, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Again, what we have to do is we have to be clear. We don't have to be fancy, right? Clear. It should be clear, and I'll show you here. On our landing page, there should be a call to action. You need to make sure that I walk away knowing what it is I need to do if I come to that page. There should not be anything else to do. Even if you reinforce the brand, even if you reinforce your USP, there should not be anything else to do. But you do have to reinforce your brand. And again, now, you should make an offer to me, right, on that page, an offer to me, right? So again, yes, I should opt into your list to get something. That should be your offer. But again, all of these things really still do have to happen on your landing page. Now, most of the time, if I come to your landing page, it's because I don't know you, right? Because if I know you already, I probably have not had to go through your landing page. I probably don't have to opt in again. But if I'm meeting you online for the first time, and you may not ever see me again, you need to, number one, reinforce your brand. You need to give me a call to action and make me do something. And you need to give me a reason to do it, an offer, right? An offer. It has to be something that's cool. It has to be something that you targeted me and you brought me here. Now you've got to make me opt in. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you are explicit. I'm going to show you a good example of that here in a minute. And then ultimately, you got to get my email address. As of right now, and I think I said this the other day, Twitter, Facebook, they're effective, but they are still miles away from being as effective as you getting an email address. You still have to get it, right? We're not at the point yet. We may get there, right? And I understand that there's messenger marketing and all those things are the wave of the future. I get that. But you still need to get the email address. We're not at that point yet where you can say, I don't need an email address. I'm just going to Facebook it. Now, there are those folks who are doing it totally by social media and star power. I think it's great. I would almost be willing to bet those people that if they added on email, they'd almost double their income. Even if they're wildly successful using only social media, if they turn to email, they'd probably double their income. Right? That's just a guess. So landing page. What are we talking about? USP, call to action, current offer, and opt-in, right? So Stuart asked, is an order and an address. If I come to your landing page, right, typically if I come to your landing page and I'm meeting you for the first time, and if I buy something from you, right, now if I buy something from you, you should be collecting the name and email address, right? So that should happen by default. So no, you don't need to ask me for a name and email address. If you're going to show me an offer to buy, right? If I don't know you and you're going to show me an offer to buy, then when I make the transaction, you should be collecting the name and email address. Now, again, that's not part of the graphics, but that is part of the process. All right, good question. Okay, so let's take a look for a second at Amazon. I want to show you Amazon. I want to show you what I'm talking about. And let's take a look here. So let's just go to Amazon. Okay, so what do you see at the top left? That's the brand, right? Do you see a call to action up there? Okay, Amazon is a gazillion-dollar company. What are they doing? What are they telling you? Try Prime, right? Try Prime, call to action, right? So here's their front landing page, and what do they have here? They've got the brand to the top left, right? That is to reinforce the brand. So they want you to know, hey, we're Amazon. Number two, what do we want you to do? Try Prime, right? So again, that's their number one thing. Try Prime. And if Amazon does this, right, then you and I need to do it too, right? So again, look to the right side, right? So if we look over to the right side, what are they saying? What's over there? What do you see to the right side? Sign in, orders, and what else? Try Prime, right? So what do you think Amazon wants you to do? As big as they are, they want you to get on Prime, and they're not making any bones about it. And you and I, again, it reinforces what they want from you. Does that make sense? And this is, so again, are these fancy graphics? So is this do you see anything really fancy about the graphics there? No, they're not trying to fool anybody. Okay, they're clarifying. Does that make sense, everybody? So clarify is important. So it's not about necessarily what you're trying to do to be fancy. It's what do you want to reinforce, right? What do you want people to remember over and over and over again? What do you want people to remember about the experience with you? Try Prime. All right, let's take a look at here again. Let's go to eBay, right? So top left, right? So no call to action except right here, right? Front and center, right? Now, what do they want you to do, right? They want you to get in and start bidding on things, right? They want you to call. They want you to get right in here. They want you to sell, right? Conquer your college shopping. That's a current offer. So again, nothing here is fancy, folks. Nothing here is fancy. All it is clarification, right? So you and I need to be clear, not necessarily fancy with our graphics. So yeah, this is professionally done. It's laid out very well. I'm pretty sure they had a lot of professionals put a lot of time and a lot of effort into here. You can buy WordPress themes, and again, that are very clean and very clear. What you and I have to do with it once we get them here is we have to be clear. Does that make sense? So the graphics, right? The graphics they have to clarify, they have to reinforce what we're trying to say. That's what rebranding is. So I don't want you to get too deep into the weeds on, let's just say, on getting into Photoshop or whether or not you use GIMP and all those things. All those things are great, right? But that's not going to bring people back to us. What's going to bring people back to us is that they know that they can get this thing from us over and over again because we clarified our message and we reinforced it. Let's look at two more. I want you to look at two more. Let's look at overstock. Right now, they're a little more obscure, but what do they want you to do? Right, overstock, top left. So that's, again, this is a clue, guys. This is a clue, and here's a coupon. Again, call to action, sign up, right away. Earn rewards with overstock. Right, they want you to become part of their rewards program. Again, everything up front. What are they trying to reinforce? Free shipping, easy returns. Right. So again, it's not fancy. It's being clear. It's being clear. It's not about being fancy. It's about being clear with the graphics. And I really want you to get that, because even as you start to take your graphics and you start to change them, right? It's not important that you say something, let's say, over the top, right? What's important is that you clarify. Okay. Now, here's something that's really good, and I think you'll get it right away. So let's go to AppSumo, which I'm pretty sure you've heard of before. AppSumo is a great example. Okay, so AppSumo is gonna bring you here. Right now, what's going to happen? This is a great example, in my opinion. Right. So what do you see here? Everything is happening right here. Friends don't let friends pay full price. So basically, what is AppSumo saying? If you want to get applications for your business, right, you're not going to pay full price for them. That's what they do. That's their USP. Right now, join our email list right here. Right? Send me deals. Now, there's some science going on with the button and all this other stuff, but this is really not fancy. This is clear. Does that make sense, everybody? Use this as an example, because it's not about tricking anybody. You've got a USP, you've got something that you do, you've got something that you offer. Say that, be clear. Now, take some time to figure out what your USP is. Right? Now, again, the most important thing is that you get a USP that is attention grabbing and that makes me want to do business with you. But once you've done that, right? Once you've done that, the work with your USP, this is what you can do with your graphics, right? When you bring people to the page, you just reinforce your USP. Okay, so the opt-in page we just looked at, brand and USP and call to action, right? That's what you got to do, right? So again, it doesn't matter what you get with your PLR, right? So if you get something with a PLR, what you've got to make sure it does, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to be in the habit of, they gave me these words, so I'm going to go and I'm just going to change all the words over to my words. That's fine, but you can't be surprised if that doesn't work, right? So let's take a look here. So the question isn't whether or not, I don't need to just take this and put my words in them. What do I need to do with this, right? What do I need to do with this based on what we've just talked about? What do I have to do this? What do I have to make sure goes here? I need to make sure my USP is in here, right? I need to make sure my call to action is in here. It doesn't matter what the graphics say. It doesn't matter what they gave me. What matters is what I put there. And what I put there has to be what? It has to be my USP. It also has to be my offer. So it's not just a matter of of changing the words to my own. What I have to do is I have to say the things that are going to make people want to do business with me. Does that make sense? Right? So that is what we have to do. So yes, we got the graphics here, but what I have to put in here is I've got to make sure my USP goes in here, and I also have to make sure that my call to action goes in here that makes sense for my business. Right? Okay, now, okay, for the sales page, okay, header, brand USP. I'm going to show you this here in a minute. And then call to action. Let's take a look at this right now. So I'm going to go and let's open up. Okay, so here are the PSD files for a PLR product. So let's first look at the header, right? And I'm not gonna resolve that right now. Okay, so what can I do with this, right? What could I do with this header? What maybe one thing that I could do, right? And if I'm not graphically inclined, I can get somebody to do this. But I'm going to try to, number one, I want to, in this corner, right? I want to do something here to reinforce my brand, right? Let's say that I change the title to this. Do you think it matters if I change the title to another product? Well, it matters a little bit. What really matters is what I say to people about me, what I say to people about what they're going to be getting. What am I saying to people who know me already? I need to reinforce my own brand on this on this header. And so basically what that's going to mean is I might do it here in this area, using the powerful features of GetResponse to build your business, right? Maybe I'm going to change this. And I'm going to, let's take this out, and I'm going to write in some text here. On screen, video tutorials, maybe I might say that. And maybe let's say I might say let's say I want to say in 30 minutes or less, right? Maybe I can say that. Right? Now, I want to say this, right? Now, and I want to say something like that, and I want to say something like that in everything I'm going to be selling. Why? Because what do I want people to remember? Because I don't want people to just stop at buying, let's say, this GetResponse. I want them to buy, let's say, Aweber also. And if I'm going to be let's say that I'm taking this PLR and I'm changing it to something that I want to sell. Well, I don't want them to stop at GetResponse. I want them to stop at nothing. I want them to buy everything. And so what I want to do is, instead of reinforcing just the product, I want to reinforce my brand also. Does that make sense? Okay, so Amanda has a question, right? And Amanda's question is, should you change your brand colors? Should I change this to my brand colors? I think you should, right? I think you absolutely should. So for example, I could then take this layer, and let's say I wanted to change this, and I wanted to change this color to something else. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to change this color some, right? So yeah, so in other words, yes, I definitely want to change my brand, right? I definitely want to change my color. So maybe I might change this to, let's say my brand color was something like green or something. And then I come here and then I paint, right? So yeah, so I would want to make sure I changed this to my brand, to my colors. Probably one of the best examples of this, right, that I've seen inside of our space, and I'm gonna tell you about this here in a minute, that if you're going to change something over, right, you really do have to know who your customer is, right? Understand who your customer is. And if you're going to have a brand, or you're going to have a theme, make sure you understand kind of who's going to be buying. For example, and let's go here. Probably one of the best examples that I've seen of that are the ladies at Coach Glue. But I want you to take a look at their stuff. Okay, who is Coach Glue selling to? Right, who do you think they're selling to? Look at their graphics. Who are they selling to? Right, they're selling to women who aspire to be successful. Right, they're selling to women who aspire to be independent. Right, and so they're selling to women business owners, coaches, female coaches. Right, and so could I buy this? And could I sell to men? I probably could, Would it be effective? Not as effective as it could be, right? If I were to look at my YouTube channel probably falls along the same lines as the ones that you saw in the graphics, right? So in other words, my YouTube audience is probably about 60% male. And so if I were to go and I were to do this, it would require substantial changing. So, I mean, I would probably not be their primary customer, but they probably have enough customers that they've changed the graphics to reflect who they're going to sell to and to reinforce their brand. Look at the logo, right? Take a look at the logo. What does the logo say to you? Let's take a look at the logo in a new tab. If I can take a look at the logo. Okay, who do you think the logo is for, right? Look at the colors, right? Who's the logo for? Again, it reinforces who they're selling to. And so this is what you're trying to do with your brand. Yeah, women. They're trying to sell to women. And it doesn't mean that a man can't buy their content, but they understand who they're selling to. And so you and I have to do the same thing. We've got to do the same thing in our graphics. We have to do the same thing inside of our products, and we have to do the same thing inside of our site. The issue isn't that it has to be fancy, right? It has to be over the top. It has to be clear, right? It has to be clear, right? So again, yeah, and Amanda says it's stereotypically pink for women. Most of us, and I guess this is psychological in nature, but when our brains get something that we don't understand, it stops us. It keeps us from making a decision, right? When it sees things that it expects, right, it allows us to keep going forward. And that's really all they're trying to do. Typical, yes, but it allows us to keep going to make a decision to buy. And that's all we're really trying to do with our graphics is we're trying to make sure that we use them in a way that is going to be helpful to us in a way that we're going to buy. Okay, so in one of your previous videos, you recommended you cover authority. Do I recommend using, eCover Authority or Photoshop Actions for ebook covers? Okay, that's a great question, actually, and it's actually a good place to have this discussion. Okay, do I recommend Photoshop and or do I recommend eCover Authority? Okay, Photoshop has a learning curve, and so if once you learn Photoshop, you're not going to have to learn another graphics program ever, right? And so that's the benefit. I've heard, and what I will say about Photoshop is it is no longer something that you have to be intimidated by in terms of price. It's no longer it's something that you have to be intimidated in terms of working with. For example, let me show you something here. I'm going to close this up, and I'm just going to open up an old graphic. Okay, so first of all, what Photoshop now does is it gives you guidance, right? So even if you're trying to, let's say you're trying to change something and it doesn't look like you're going to line something up, Photoshop will provide you guides that will help you to kind of line things up. And so basically what they've done is they've made it so that the bar is lower. So now I would not consider myself to be a Photoshop guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I can use Photoshop competently, and I've probably only had one entire course that I've learned how to do that I learned how to use years ago, because Photoshop has gotten so incredibly easy to learn how to use. So if you want to get a program to avoid Photoshop, I don't think that's necessary anymore, right? I don't think that's necessary. Now, having said that, in order to get eCover Actions for Photoshop, you're probably going to have to buy Cover Action Pro. Cover Action Pro is $297, right? It is. And so because of that, it's a spicy price, but again, something you're going to never have to buy again, right, once you buy it. So you're not going to have to rebuy cover actions for years. If you buy a program, maybe even the Usign or eCover Action Pro, to avoid paying the price, that's understandable. But again, understand you're not going to have to buy cover actions ever again. Let's talk about eCover Authority. The person that does eCover Authority has stood behind that program for a long time. He's active in our community, and he works to improve it. And so it's not going to be like other software experiences, because he is active and he actually works inside of our market. I would consider it to be a good way of getting into graphics, right? There is a point, though, at which you're gonna run into a case where the further you go in internet marketing, there are going to be some things that you will run into that will be beyond the scope of eCover Authority, and knowing Photoshop will be a benefit. So what am I saying? I would say then that if you start with eCover Authority to create eCovers, and then you get to this point where you have to do other stuff, I think then that you start investigating how you're going to buy Photoshop and Cover Action Pro. Let's see, Amanda, can Canva work to make these edits? It's for some of them, Amanda. Canva does not, to my knowledge. Now, it may. I don't know that it works for layers. Wait, I don't know how well it works for layers. So I think that if Canva does layers, then it can, and if it works with PSD files, it can. But I don't know that Canva works with PSD files. Stuart says outsource, and I think that to some degree that's true. I do work with designers. I work with 2 of them. What I will say is that in our business, right, we have to move very quickly. For example, if I need to put together an affiliate promotion, I can't call the designer the 2 or 3 days ahead of time and ask them to put together all my graphics for an affiliate promotion. So I have to be able to operate PowerPoint. I have to be able to operate Photoshop. I have to be able to create my PSDs. I have to be able to do all out of these things, because first of all, it's going to be cost prohibitive for me to get a designer to do everything unless they work for me full time, right? That's a tall order. And so, yeah, I do have people that I contract with, that I do outsource, but there are a lot of things that I just have to do. And having to know those things means that I need to know how to use a graphics program and do some things myself, right? So outsourcing is the best thing. And here's what I say about outsourcing. Here's what I say about outsourcing in graphics. Number one, I outsource all designs. So I do not try to design. So if you're talking about trying to make a design and trying to make it look good and trying to lay out the stuff, I don't do any of that. So yes, in that case, I outsource everything. But if you're talking about turning a design into something that I can market with, I do that. I will do that work myself. And you and I will probably have to do that unless you have a designer working for you, solely for you full time. Right? So the only thing that I outsource, are designs, right? But the manipulation of those designs, right, I either work with somebody who is working with me or I do it myself. So basically, what is it that we're trying to repeat? And we have been talking about this during the Rebrand Mastermind, and that's this. We have to be repeating the USP, right? So is the USP our tagline? No, it's not our tagline. USP is really the way we do business is different from other people. In other words, what does somebody have to come to us to get that they can't get anyplace else? The way we do business, what we deliver, how we deliver it doesn't really matter, but we do need to have something. And especially when it comes to information marketing, there's so many people that have free reports, right? There's so many people that have free videos. There's so many people that have, let's say, the full product, and all those things are great. But now if you're going to set yourself apart, if you want someone to say, I have got to have that, then you really do have to have something that you do uniquely over and over again, better than other people, that you want to say to people over and over again. It doesn't have to be much, but it does have to be something. And you should be emphasizing whatever your USP is. And if you don't really have something ironed down, take some time really and think about what that is, right? The USP is really what comes back down to what's going to separate you from everybody else. And again, especially as information marketers, where everybody's a social media ninja, everybody is sort of knowing, everybody's a coach, right? So probably you're great, but there are a lot of good people out there, and they're just as great as you are. And sometimes it doesn't matter whether or not they're better than you or you're slightly better than them. It is really a matter of you being clear and that you repeat over and over again what people are getting uniquely from you, right? So now, when it comes to rebranding text, you need to have something that you're repeating. That's your USP. You need to be something that you're advertising, right? That's your call to action, right? What do you want people to do when they first meet you, right? That's what I call advertising. If I don't know you, you are advertising to me. What are you going to drive me to? Typically, it's going to be an opt-in page, and you need to have a call to action to that opt-in page that's going to be strong. It needs to be one line. It needs to be something that you can say succinctly. It needs to be something that when I look at it in text, I know it's for me. I click on it. I go to your landing page. That's the next step. It should drive me to click that link. It should drive me inside of your text document. It doesn't matter what the text document is. Even if you're dealing with literally a TXT document that isn't clickable, you should have something in that TXT document that's a call to action that says to me, hey, you know what? If I go here, something's going to happen. Something good that I want is going to happen. And so you got to have that also when you're rebranding text documents, right? Again, you might feel like, well, it's just a Word document or it's just a PDF, and, I got it as part of this, I got it as part of this package, and I did a giveaway, and I already got their name and email address. Well, that's fine, even if you already got their name and email address. You want to have some opportunity to drive them to your call to action. Now, why do you want to do that? Sometimes you'll get a name or an email address that might not be their best one. But if you have a great call to action where you've got something that they've got to get, then they're going to give you their best email address, because whatever it is you're offering at that point, they don't want to miss it, right? What are you promoting, right? So in other words, you need to have something that you're repeating. You need to have something that you are advertising in your text document. You need to have something you are promoting. What is your most recent product? What is your most recent offer? If you're offering a service, right, what can I get from you right now? What is your introductory offer to me? Your best offer. And it should be there in your text document someplace where I can click on it. And yes, and I'm going to show you this here in a minute, it might seem a little bit overkill, but it isn't really overkill, because these documents pass by people. We get Word documents, we get PDFs all the time. Sometimes we're looking at them on our mobile device. Sometimes we're looking at them on our PC. Sometimes we're even printing them out. And so you have to be able to have something that you're promoting, something that is your most recent offer, your most recent promotion, your top stuff that I can get right now. Now, one of the things that I suggested that you do, that you have something, and let's just take a look at this. If I go to this site, and what I'm going to do is, remember, I have a plugin here that is called Affiliate Link Cloaking. Let's see if we get to it quickly. And remember, now this plugin, Affiliate Link Cloaking, allows me to do something like this. I'm going to add a new link, and this is going to be my domain name, whatever my domain name is, right? What do I want to do? Well, what I want to do is I want to have something like new or recent, right? It's good. And this then becomes interchangeable, right? So anytime that I have something that's new, I want to switch out that offer, right? I want to switch that out so that whenever somebody clicks on the new thing, or I place that new offer, right, you can place it in some place. Yeah, somebody else said they've got Pretty Links Pro. It's pretty much the same thing, Jim. I know some of these attempt to keep the link hidden, Some of them attempt to hide them. I don't know how successful they are in encrypting links anymore. I think Google can see through those links, but I don't really think you have to encrypt them. I think as long as you have something that's always new and that you can switch out this offer so that whenever somebody clicks on that domain, on that URL that says yourdomainname.com/new, they're always going to get your most recent offer, right? So you don't have to change out the, change the URL in all your documents. So in other words, the only thing you're going to be changing out, you're going to change it out inside of your site. You're not going to have to go back and change all of your documents, right? You want to have one link in your documents, and then you want to change out that document. Okay, now the other thing that you and I have to do before we set up our call to action, because the call to action is going to be the most important thing, right? Because most people in the world don't know us yet. Most people in the world, even if they know you, they don't know how awesome you are yet. And so you're going to have to get them even before you get their trust. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get their trust right away. You're going to have to get their email address and build trust, right? So yes, people do business with those with whom they know, like, and trust, but sometimes you have to start someplace in a relationship. And so what are you going to offer them so that you can establish that trust? Now remember, one of the things that we looked at yesterday, we looked at what is a good example of a landing page, right? What we've been talking about. Let's go to the AppSumo landing page. Right, okay, so this is going to, in a minute, it's going to switch up here. Okay, now, remember, what do we like about this landing page? Everybody remember? Number one, now, I mean, it doesn't really matter about the company and the logo. Here's what we have. We sort of have their USP, right? Which is they do small business software, right? Friends don't let friends pay full price. Join our email list and get software deals delivered straight to your inbox, right? Very simple. You don't, now, one of the things that I want to point out to you again that we pointed out in the rebranding graphics section is that it doesn't have to be fancy. It's really about the message. Do I want this, right? Would I like to have software deals delivered straight to my inbox? I probably do. And so what you've got to work on more than anything else is the USP, right? The USP is what will get people to opt in. It's not going to be the fact that you're giving away something. It's not going to be the fact that you're giving away a free video. It's not going to be the fact that you're going to give away an e-course. Listen, e-courses at this point, before somebody knows you, I'm talking about when somebody first meets you, you have to give them something based on their self-interest, right? This is about me, right? When I come to this page, it's all about me, right? They figured out it's all about me. Do I want software deals delivered straight to my inbox? Yes. I'm going to put my name and email address in there and click the button that says send me deals, right? So basically you and I have to put something together on a landing page first, right? And I would suggest you do that before you start rebranding text. You need to have some kind of, I'd say, irresistible offer based on what you deliver better than anybody else, right? I don't know, maybe AppSumo doesn't deliver this better than anybody else, but they do a good job of it. Whatever it is you do, right? Now, it's not even about you trying to copy off of them, but you should have something you deliver better than anybody else. It has to be something that's going to be irresistible. Right now, when we do this offer, right, I want you to notice something. I want you to know this URL. The URL says appsumo.com/some other stuff here. Right now, when we do that, I want to take you back to the page that we looked at here before, because it's important in this sense. And this is something, again, I'm pretty sure you know this, but if I go to the reading section of my WordPress site, now if you're not using WordPress, I mean, that's fine. What I'm basically doing here is I'm setting up my home page so that when I send people to the home page, what do I want to send them to? If somebody's going to my home page, they probably don't know me. So what do I want them to do? I want them to see what I want them to see, and typically what I'm going to want them to see is going to be some kind of opt-in. That being said, let's say you don't want to do your home page as an opt-in. One of the things that you're going to be able to do and you want to have in your page builder, whether or not it's connected to your website or not, is that you and I have to be able to have something where we can clone, and this is what you do inside of Optimized Press. Now, I'm pretty sure you can do this in other senses, but you just want to be able to take your same opt-in page and click clone it, right? I want to clone that opt-in page, right, just like I'm doing here. And what I want to do then? Well, what I want to do then is I want to make sure then that this opt-in page has a different address, right? I can change this. New opt-in page, or whatever you would make it, right? Now, the advantage of having something like this with your page builder is that I can create opt-in pages quickly, and every time I have a new document, right, I might want to take the same opt-in page and I want to do something slightly different, right? So let's say that I do one product and it's going to be about Facebook. Well, then I might want to set up my opt-in page so that so that when the person clicks from my Facebook product, they click to an opt-in page that's going to be related, right? And you can do that very easily, and all you should be doing with your opt-in page is cloning it and making a few tweaks to it. Now, I know we're talking about rebranding text, but you have to do this before you start the rebrand process. Otherwise, it's not rebranding. Right? Rebranding is what are we going to repeat over and over again? What are we trying to get into people's minds? And again, the text documents are the things that we typically leave out, not because we don't know to do it, not because we don't know how to do it. It's because we look at it as extra. And all of these little documents, all of these little things we do are the things that matter because they're cumulative over time. Okay, so we just talked about the AppSumo page. Remember, we have, so again, we have the call to action there. We have the USP there, so you can do that on your opt-in page. Again, the style is not important. You know, I guess there are some styles that are going to convert better than others, and sometimes you're going to, you know, put some things on the right side or on the upside. But I'd say first, before you start worrying about, you know, where your logo is going to be and all that stuff, get your message right, get your call to action ready. Get your USP so it's irresistible and your call to action so it's irresistible, and then get a current offer. Right now, when I put my name and email address in here, what's going to happen? I want to come back here. What's going to happen? Well, I'm going to put my name and email address in here. Right, and then I'm going to click Send Me Deals. I'd say no, I got to put my, okay, there it is. Okay, so now I just put my name and email address in there and I get the current deal. Again, really, really simple stuff. That's the way it really needs to work, right? Just that simple. And you can do something that simple. You don't have to do anything complicated. What is your best offer right now? What is the best thing you have going right now? Right? Put that offer, make it available so that as soon as somebody opts in, they see this. Right now, yeah, they're going to probably get some emails from you and you're going to tell them how cool you are and what they're about to get and all that stuff. That's cool. But you may not ever see them again. They may not ever get their email address. They may not ever go to their inbox. So now what you've got to do is you've got to make sure you've got to give them your current, your best, your coolest offer. Right? Is everybody with me on that? Right? So again, before we start the rebrand process, this is the stuff you have to do first. I'm going to assume that you are going to set those things up. All right, so what is it that we can rebrand? What documents can we rebrand? Okay, so first, we can rebrand the ebook guide. Now, what I'm going to do is we're just going to pull open an ebook guide. Typically, that's going to come in a Word document of some kind. Let's just say that it's some kind of Word document. So where can we rebrand? What is that we can do? Well, we can definitely change the graphics, but I'm talking about going a little further than that. Probably the easiest thing for us to do is going to be, we're just going to double click right inside of the header. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put something in there, right? We're just going to, I think we can center in here, right? I think we can align in here, right? We align the text in here. And then we're going to put our call, we're going to either kind of put our USP or our call to action in here, right? We'll put your domain.com, right? Or what we could do is we make this our USP, right? We say something like on-screen video tutorials in 30 minutes or less, something like that, right? We want to reinforce what we do. And what are we going to do there? We're going to make this into some kind of hyperlink, right? What do we want to hyperlink to? Well, we want to hyperlink to, right? Let's see, where's our link here? We want to hyperlink to either our call to action, right, or our current offer, right? So what this is going to be is our landing page. Okay, really simple stuff, right? So that every time somebody comes across this first page, it's always going to be there in the header, right? Call to action, right? Some kind of call to action. What can we also do? We come down to the bottom and we're going to do our footer, right? What are we going to put in the footer? Well, what are we repeating? USP. What are we advertising? Call to action. What's our most recent product? So maybe we've got our USP up here, and maybe we're going to say get your free pre-analysis business analysis, right? And consultation or something. So once again, all we're really doing is we're just lining these things up, and then we're just going to link to these things. Right? Now, if you the most important thing is that you get the message right. Right? So it's not so much, again, that you are you're trying to fool anybody here. Right? We're just putting this link in here. I just put google.com just to have it in here. So now on every page we're going to have call to action and our USP. Right? Really simple when it comes to the to a Word document. Right? That's typically where our ebook guide is going to come. Now, license is going to be trickier because you can do the same thing with a license, but typically sometimes the license is going to be a text document. Right? So we've got a text document here, and I'm going to make this print smaller. Let's do select all, and we're going to format this smaller so you can see it. Okay, so the license is not so much the issue. Let's not worry about the term. What am I going to do with this so that I continue to repeat what I'm trying to repeat, right? Again, this is all real estate that people are going to read. If you waste this space and you treat this, all this is like a Word doc or a text document, you don't get to advertise, right? So typically somebody's going to look at the license. So what do you want to do? Well, maybe at the top point, you want to write, right? You want to put there, you want to leave it in their best self-interest for a free 30-minute analysis. Go to, now this URL ought to be short as you can, as easy to remember as you can. Again, that's nothing earth-shattering, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to waste this real estate, right? This is valuable real estate right here that people are going to read. And it's very easy to do. You just need to make sure that it's going to be easy for them to grab the URL. In this case, I'm just going to put, you want to make it easy for them to grab the URL, right-click it, and go to the site, right? Whether or not they're on their mobile device or they're on their personal computer, right? What else can you do? Well, naturally, you're gonna put down something down here at the bottom. Right? Typically, what I like to do, because they've already done the reading, you want to put this in all caps in some kind of way. Now, this is probably not going to be, again, the place for a message. you're going to want to put some kind of call to action that's going to be in their best self-interest here, and you're typically going to want to put this in all caps. I'm not going to walk through that process right now, but does everybody understand what I'm saying? Right, so if you get what I'm saying, please put the number 4 in the question box, right, with your text document, with your license that you are passing on. You have the opportunity to use that real estate, and you're just, again, you're just using it wisely, right? You're using it wisely. Every time you get a chance to put your message in front of people, you have to take the opportunity. It doesn't take a lot of brains. It doesn't even take a lot of fanciness. It just takes discipline. It takes a checklist. You need to add this to your systems and your processes, and then make sure it happens. Right now, okay, anything that you're inserting, right, anything that you're inserting, if you're going to do an insert of some kind, maybe you're going to do a special offer of some kind, again, that's typically going to come in the form of a PDF. One of the things that you want to make sure you're doing, I'm going to show you something. When you are passing on, you get something that's got master resale rights, let's say. Here's something that has a license, right? Do I want to take that license as is? Well, no, I don't want to take the license as is. Let's extract the license. Okay, so this license comes with a PDF. So what are we going to have to do with this PDF, right? It's an insert. I need to change this license, and I also need to rebrand it. Now, again, changing it to make sure that everybody's got the correct rights is not rebranding. Rebranding is adding in your USP, call to action, current offer, right? All those 3 things. So when it comes to a PDF, if you have Adobe Acrobat, right, all you're really going to try to do here is you're going to try to save this as another document, right? And typically what you can do is you can export this to a Word document, right? Now I realize that not everybody has Adobe Acrobat, but if you do have it, it's fairly easy for you to just export the document to Microsoft Word, and you're going to make changes. So even if you have a PDF, that PDF is going to be changeable, and you just want to export that to Microsoft Word. Now there's services online. I think they're probably free where you can do it, where you can take a PDF and you can then export it into a Microsoft Word document. I mean, you could copy and paste it. I mean, you know, but here, all we're going to do here is we're going to redo this, right? And how are we going to redo it? We're just going to click on top of here, right? And then we're going to add in our USP. We're going to come down to the bottom. We're going to add in our footer, right? And then we're just going to then resave it as a PDF, right? Really, really simple, but very easy to do. Yeah, Dana says they're all over the place in Google, right? Dana Castle says they're all over the place in Google, and that's true, right? You're going to be able to find them, right? But if you have an Adobe Creative Cloud, then you have Adobe Acrobat, right? And Adobe Acrobat has a lot of kind of neat little things you can do with it like that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about working with your presentation, right? So you get a presentation. And let's see, I did the last one first. I already did the PDF. So let's go back and let's work with your presentation, right? It's a little different working with a presentation, but it can still be done. And so what do I want to do with this, right? What do I want to do with this? Well, I'm not going to do the header and the footer. I'm just going to go to the View command, and I'm going to go to the Slide Master, right? Now the Slide Master. So what am I going to do? Well, in the Slide Master, if you recall, if you've been through our PowerPoint course, you know that what you can do is you can take any of the master documents and you can place your call to action here inside of the footer, right? If you want to take any of the content slides, you can put this inside of the footer. Now, if you just want to change the whole thing so that everything that shows up, right, you take the master slide and you can make your changes and add in whatever you want to add in here, whether or not it's going to be your call to action or whether or not it's going to be your current offer. Right, again, really simple, but you do have to use this master view in order to do that, so it'll show up inside of all of your your document when you're doing a PowerPoint presentation. Now, the other thing that you can do here, I'm going to go here right now. Let's close up that view. And one thing that you can do is you can insert what are called action buttons, right? You can insert an action button. So let's just say that we're going to have, let's put a 3D picture in here. Not that 3D matters, but let's just put one in there. Right now, here's what we can do uniquely in PowerPoint. PowerPoint now has what are called action buttons, right? So now what I can do with this action button is, right, I can hyperlink to a different portion of the presentation, or I can hyperlink to a URL. Right, so I can do any of these things. I can hyperlink to a URL. I can hyperlink to a different slide. And so why would I hyperlink to a different part of the presentation? Anybody know? What would help me? What would help me if by going to a different part of the presentation? Well, they can go to the buy button. That's one thing. Yep, Jim. Right, we can send them to a buy button. What else could I do? Well, one of the things that I could do here, that I suggest you do in any text document, is going to be you want to work in areas that are going to be clickable, and you want to always create a reference page. Right, now again, this is a discipline. Right, reference page is a discipline, and it's something that needs to be something that I know it's not fancy, and it's not let's say super ninja, but it's something that people do sometimes, myself included, right? But it needs to be all the time. And you need to always have a reference page, and you need to always direct people to your reference page. What's going to be on there? Well, what's going to be on your reference page, that's where, if you're going to have affiliate links, yeah, a resources page, or Jim says that like a resources page. If you're going to have affiliate links, that's where it needs to be. Right, but you need to draw people's attention to it. You need to tell them they're going to have a resource page. So where are all your evergreen offers going to be? If your customer's business, right, then you want to have stuff in there like the autoresponders where you're a affiliate, the page builder where you're an affiliate, the membership software that you're an affiliate, and don't have 10 of them. Right, don't put, well, I'm gonna, if you can get Aweber, you get Response, you can get ConvertKit. Yeah, recommend one. Right, it's a reference page, it's a recommendations page, and recommendations page has power if there's one thing that's sort of like the thing you're recommending. Right, so again, the power in that, in rebranding, is that now if you're going to have affiliate links, you're going to send someone away from your brand, and you're going to send people away from your site, these are where you're going to put evergreen resources. And again, in my opinion, you should not be sending people to an offer that's going to be just a launch offer. In this case, right, not from your product, not from your inside stuff. Again, find from an email, find from your social media posts, but when it comes to your product, you're trying to keep money circulating inside of your business. Does that make sense? So if you're going to do that, do this on a resources page, right? But try to send people to links that you have. And again, I mean, this is where if you have PLR offers, you should have them posted. You should have them hosted so that you can refer to your offers. Right? Keep money circulating in your business. Don't send it outside your business. And the only exception should be your references page. It should be your recommendations page. And again, these should be evergreen resources, right? Things that people traditionally, perennially have to have, not launch offers, right? Not where they're going to get tied up on somebody's list and they're going to get emailed all the time. You don't want to do that, even if it does convert and you make a bunch of sales. You're trying to build. Rebranding is about people repeating, understanding that they're getting value from you. And you can't do that if you're sending people off to affiliate offers all the time. And again, I understand that sometimes you're sending people to places where you're going to be able to make some money, right? You're sending people to places where you know things are gonna convert. But ultimately, you and I, if we get people opted in, and we've already got their attention, we have to at least try to get them to pay attention to the things that we are offering, right? Does that make sense? Right? So if you don't have these things in a system, put them in a system, and quite frankly, this is something that you can outsource to somebody. If you you have a VA, right? If you have somebody in your family working with you, you can outsource this so that it happens every time. You just put together a checklist, and you put your documents branding checklist. Do I have a PDF? Here's what you need to put there. Do I have a Word document? Do I have a PowerPoint document? Anytime you have documents, these are the things that should be happening in them repeatedly. Amanda's question is, does it make sense to edit the content? Yes, it does. And I think you should be editing the content, number one, to reflect the niche and the market you're working in. So in other words, let's say that the ebook is going to be about Pinterest, right? And the people that you are working with are primarily going to be, let's say, small business owners, right? Not so much, let's say they're not going to be other people like you and I. Let's say that they're going to be either small business owners or they're going to be business opportunity people. Well, everything in that ebook should be contextual for the group you're talking to. And so that means you're going to have to add some stuff in there where you're talking to the people about their business, about their kind of business. And it makes the ebook more readable, and it makes it more personal, right? And again, you're going to be able to add in, I think, some case studies and some personal examples of things that you know about, as well as things that are going to be relevant. And I think that's what makes it more valuable, and I think that's what makes it more readable and less generic. Okay, so Jim's question is, when I produce a PLR product or resale rights product, is it okay to put these links in text and to give the buyers of the PLR rights the opportunity to edit, or is that considered sneaky? I think what you should do, Jim, if you're going to produce a resale rights product or a PLR product, that you should have a training video in your document that says, these are my links. You should change them to put yours in here, right? So again, I would definitely put your links in there, because not everybody who buys resale rights and PLR buys it in order to resell it. Sometimes they get it and the resale rights are incidental. And when they do that, then you want to give them, right, you want to give them some of your recommendations. And then, look, I mean, you could be helping them too, in that they might then become an affiliate, right? In some cases, you could suggest a second-tier affiliate program. Some of the programs have second-tier affiliate programs where they will, you'll get the credit for a sale, but that you'll also get the credit if they become an affiliate. So you want to try to look those up too, right? That's a good question. What we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to start by talking about rebranding videos. And I want to give you a perspective on rebranding. If you get this perspective, then the whole idea about taking PLR and redoing it in a way that's going to both help you to generate more leads and then to make more money, I think this will kind of make it a little clearer as to what it is you're trying to accomplish when you're doing this, right? And I think that's what everybody wants to know. So let's dive right in, and let's start by talking about rebranding videos. Let's talk about rebranding videos. First, before we get started, it's important to kind of understand that we're trying to do is when we're rebranding that video is to get our USP in there. And so we want to define what the USP is. And USP is basically going to be, whatever that one thing is that your business or your brand does that other people cannot do. So in other words, what is it that I can get from you that I can't get elsewhere? What is it that you bring to the table in whatever it is that you're doing that other people don't have. I mean, if you're going to be redoing video, and let's say you're redoing video, even if the video you're redoing is going to be on weight loss, right? If you're going to be bringing other weight loss products, or you're going to be bringing, let's say, personal development products, and you're going to be doing more than one, what is it that you're doing uniquely in the marketplace? And really, if you're not doing something uniquely in the marketplace, trying to define what the USP is a good opportunity to say, hey, you know what? What is it that people want, that they value, that I can bring to them that they cannot get elsewhere? That is really what you want to try to do. So when we put something else, when we add to a piece of PLR, we add to text PLR, if we add to a video, what are we trying to add to it? We're trying to say something in that product that by the time the person who's reading it, they finish consuming it, that they're left with the impression that, hey, you know what, this was great. What I got uniquely, and I can only get it from someplace else. And that might mean the uniqueness of the information, yes, but it also can be anything that you're going to do to the PLR that's going to be unique that people cannot get elsewhere. So USP is going to be important. So let's talk about what a brand is, because a brand is different. And a brand is what you're trying to reinforce over and over and over again, right? So in other words, what is it what message are you sending across every single time somebody comes in contact with your content, somebody comes in contact with one of your products, somebody comes in contact with your with your webinar, somebody comes in contact with your opt-in, somebody comes in contact with your social media profile? What are you trying to reintroduce, right? What are you trying to reinforce? What are you saying over and over again? And think about what a brand is, right? If I were to brand a horse, it would be something that I kind of, that I basically took something and just almost emblazoned my my logo or something on someone. So how do you get somebody to the point where you have branded yourself into their consciousness? Well, it's something that you repeat over and over again. A brand is about repetition. So what do you want to repeat over and over again? What do you want to say over and over again? That's part of your USP. So again, the brand is what you repeat. It's more than a tagline, because it has to be what you want to get into my brain as your customer if I don't hear anything else. When I remember you, you've got to get something into my brain when you have the opportunity. And that's really what rebranding does. Again, I'm all for changing things so that you put your logo in them. I'm all for changing things so that you put your URL in things. I mean, that's fine, but you can do so much more with PLR because you have a captive audience. If somebody's reading something that either you bought and you redid, or you bought and that you added your links to, you have an opportunity at that point to say something that's going to, again, brand yourself, right? Something you're repeating to them. And so basically, you want to have those two things in your mind when you create a branded bumper, right? So yes, you're going to put something at the beginning and the end of a video, and you can, or the beginning and the end of a set of videos, and it's going to be branded. So again, that branded bumper should be what you want to repeat, number one. And number two, it should be a USP, not just a tagline, not just your URL. It should be a branded bumper. And again, even if your what you're trying to get across in the brand is going to be a call to action, right? Even if it's going to be go to this page and get this one thing that they can only get from you, right? If that's going to be your message, then you've got to take the opportunity inside of your branded bumper to say and give a call to action to something that's unique over and over and over again. So the key to branding anything in PLR is as many times as you can say it, as many times as you can get it in, as many times as you can place it in front of the customer, as many times as you can hear it, without ruining the experience for them. You want to get your message, the one message you want them to take away, in front of that PLR video. What's the logic behind that? The logic behind that is that in the call to action, again, when people consume information, they're probably going to be skimming things. They're probably going to be skipping over something. They're not going to spend a long time with it. So what do you want to say at the very beginning of that video if you don't get a chance to say anything else that's going to be unique and that you want to say over and over again? That is what you have to think about when you start putting together a branded bumper. What can I say, right? What can I get people to do? What am I trying to drive people toward? Again, in the branded bumper, what is the USP? You know, what can you say? So what is an example of something that you can say in a branded bumper? When you're talking about, first of all, your unique take on the information. So in other words, yes, they're going to get PLR from, let's say, us, but you are going to explain what it means in your context. So you get a PLR video, and what you're going to do is you're going to tell people what it means. Let's say that your niche is weight loss, weight loss instructors. Well, what can a weight loss instructor do with, let's say, Amazon S3? Well, you're going to explain that because you're the expert on your niche. If you are the expert in let's say, a productivity coaching, right? You're going to bring context to the PLR, and that is what you're trying to do in the branded bumper. You're going to give context, number one. Number two, you are also going to make sure that at the end of your discussion, whatever it is that you're bringing to that unique PLR video, that you're going to leave people with an explicit instruction to go and do something. Right, and that is what you can say inside of your branded bumper. Should you do one, or should you do one for each video? If possible, you should do a branded bumper for each video that you're going to be selling. You should do a branded bumper for each video that you're going to be putting on your website. If you're going to use PLR, number one, you should be giving context to it. Number two, you should be stating your brand. Number three, you should have a USP. All those three elements make a branded bumper. So again, yes, it's necessary for you to make it unique and make a good experience from the video. Yes, it's great to have, let's say, something that you say about your business, but you've got to give the call to action too. All three things belong in the branded bumper. The question is going to be now, the question comes up, should you outsource the voiceover? And I'm going to always say no to that. Right? Because again, especially when it comes to the PLR video, you can have your voice part of the video as long as you're bringing valuable context. Right? When you say inside of the video, here's what you're going to say. Let's say that you bought a PLR video and they're going to hear my voice teaching a concept. Well, you're going to come on at the beginning and you're going to tell them what it means. You're going to point out to them some of the things they're about to see and how they should think about it. You're going to point out to them how they're going to use it in your niche. It should be your voice doing that. And again, you can do that credibly by saying, hey, we partner with this company to teach these things, but here are the things that you're going to have to remember about what you are about to see. Then really and truly, if you really want to do a high quality job with the video, you put a bumper at the end. And that bumper says something like, hey, this is what happened in this video. Here are the things that you want to think about once again. In order to get more information about more of these things, here's where you want to go to this page in order to get this thing that we have for you, because we're the only ones that do this, right? All of those three things should be inside of your bumper. The context, the branding, and the USP. Again, every time you get the chance, because what you're trying to do is reinforce that the information they're getting, they can only get it from one place. The way you deliver it is the only place they can get it, and you are the only one that can give it to them. So let's talk about video only. So let's go on screen. So you should have a video editor if you're going to rebrand your video. The most important thing are going to be the things that we have just discussed, right? Because if you're trying to figure out, well, what should I say in my bumper, right? Those are the things that you must put in there in order for it to help you to generate more profit, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to import a PLR video, right? I'm just going to import a video here. And we're going to bring that video onto the timeline. Right now, I've got a couple of choices when I rebrand the video. Of course, what I can do is I can record another video. Right, now let's just say that for the sake of argument, let's just say that this video is the one that you recorded as your bumper. This video is the one you recorded as your close. Right, now let's say that you recorded those two videos. What are you going to do with those videos? Well, when it comes to Camtasia, all you're going to have to do is you're going to need to bring these things down to the timeline. Now those things are a little long, but that's actually fine because I want to show you how to do this anyway. Let's say that this is a little long, and all you're really going to need is a little bit of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to the point. I'm going to cut out a lot of this inside of Camtasia. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this video to this point. I'm going to hit the split command, and I'm going to take that totally out. Right? Let's say I might take some more out of this. And all I have here is the beginning of my bumper. I'm going to put this here at the beginning. I'm going to slide this down. I can bring these things down to the same track. And typically inside of any video editor, one of the things you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to use transitions. And now you can do all kinds of things with transition. And typically when it comes to transitions, the most conservative thing is going to be the best. So don't get people distracted with something that's too fancy. The one that I personally like to use is the flip. Right? So all I got to do is drag that down. Now, again, it might work differently inside of your version of Camtasia. It might work differently inside of your video editor, but all I've got to do is bring that down to the timelines. Let's see what's going to happen here. So when that transition happens, it's going to turn, right? So that's what happens. Let's see it. Let's watch that again. Okay, so basically that's what a transition does. So at the end of the visual piece that I did, one of the things that's going to tie it together, that this is going to be something different, even though it's your voice is going to be different from mine. You can help that process by doing a transition, right? So in other words, it may seem a bit of a disconnect if they're listening to your voice and then they start listening to mine, right? But it won't be a disconnect if you use a transition, and you want the transition to be visual, just like the one that I just did. And you're going to be able to do the same thing about a bumper at the end. So, for example, if I were to do a bumper at the end, I'm going to do the very same thing, right? So I'm going to find the closer. I'm going to come back here to the clip bin. Right? I'm going to add that one to the timeline. Let's say I'm only going to use a little bit of this. I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to use another transition, right? I like to use the very same transition. I don't like to use two different transitions in the same one, right? So again, I like to have this here. Let's talk about. So that's all we're really trying to do visually with the transition. Okay, so one of the questions is, how do I feel about using callouts? I think that if you can use a call out in a way that's going to complement what you're trying to do. So for example, if my goal here in the bumper is to reinforce something, right, and I can do that effectively using a call out, I'll do it. So for example, maybe what I want to do here is I want to say, I want to say, hey, go to www.technicaltutorials.com. Right? Let's say that that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to make sure that that appears here for part of the video. And that's an easy way to rebrand, right? So I can do that, and that might make sense to do. Right? Maybe I might fade that out so that it comes and it goes out. Right? So, yeah, so if you can use it in a way that goes along with what you're trying to do, I think a call out can be good as long as it adds to what the person is trying to accomplish. Okay, so the question is there a way to fill in the black part? So let's see. If what you mean is, let's say that what I'm going to try to do here, I'm going to take this call out. And one of the things that Camtasia will allow you to do with the library is it will allow you to do what's called a title clip. And I think that might be what you're talking about. And that will appear here at the beginning. And even still, I'm going to do this the very same way, right? I'm really going to take that title clip, and what I like to do with the title clip is just slide this down so that it appears at the beginning. Right now in Camtasia, what you can do with the title clip is you can click Edit Call Out, and then you can edit this writing in here. Go to www.go.com. Right, and then of course it's going to transition in. Okay, so when you say you've got so the question is about a black cloth background, but it doesn't cover a little corner. If you're adding in a transition, if you're going to add something from up here, one of the things that you can always do with Camtasia, let's say you're going to add in a shape, is you want to look at the shape's properties. Right, whenever you have a shape property, what you can do is you can look at the fill and change the color, right? So if we click that down arrow, we can change that fill color to green, right? Then the background's going to be green. We can look at the fill color, and we can make it red. So typically, what you're going to want to do is to look at the fill color in the properties of the callout, and you can always change the color. You can change the effect of the color. Right, so we can change the style. We can typically change whether or not there's going to be a border around it. So you're always going to find that when you are in the properties area of the particular callout. Right, so when you get to the callout, there should be areas where you can adjust the callout. Okay, great question. That was actually right alongside of what we're trying to do. So again, when you're adding in your branded video, you should probably do the video ahead of time, right? When you're adding it to the timeline. Slide this down. Okay, so one of the things that we can also do is, let's say that what you're going to be doing here at the beginning, of course, let's say that you actually do have something done. Let's say you have something done at Fiverr, and you want to have a little video done, or you want to have one created, and you want to add some music to it, or you want to just do a visual. You can within Camtasia, right? They give you royalty-free music. Now, again, I wouldn't use the same royalty-free music that everyone else has, right? But again, adding in music is a good touch to the video, because typically you're not going to have a PLR video, and not going to have, it really should not have music to it, but you can add in music, right? And again, all we're really doing when we do that is we're just adding some music to the timeline. So for example, here's 33 seconds of a song, And I'm just going to add that to the timeline. Right, and so I think I can play this, but you would not hear it. We want to adjust the volume, right, on that particular area because we don't want it to overshadow the vocal, and then we want to fade it in and fade it out. Right now, you can always add in music any place on the timeline that you want it. Some people will add music to their entire video, right? I mean, you're certainly able to do that. I mean, a lot of videos that you see on YouTube, they've got music running in the background. If you've got something unique and you've got something you want to add to a PLR video, that's certainly something that you can do. But I would just stick to adding in the audio or the additional music to your bumper. Right. One of the questions is about how the video appears when you first play it. One thing that I would say is that when you're in the editing process, it's always going to be a little different when you actually render the video. Now, if the rendered video has an issue, let's say at the beginning, once you've produced the actual video, then it could be the actual clip that's a problem. But if it's just the editing process, then you want to go ahead and render the video and then look at the video in its final production, because in some cases when a computer doesn't have a lot of memory, what happens is the editor will truncate things, or it'll try to take shortcuts to try to show you what it thinks it might look like without showing you all the way. So again, what you can do is you can then render the video to see what it's actually going to look like. Sometimes the preview is not always going to show exactly what that video is going to look like. Okay, but that does happen sometimes. It does happen that when you render a video or when you're working with a video in the editor will not always show the video doing what it's going to eventually look like. They rendered and downsized it with Handbrake. If possible, you shouldn't have to downgrade it, downsize it. Anything that you're doing in Camtasia, you're typically not going to have to. You should not have to downsize unless you're adding something huge to the video.